You've Been Cheese said earlier in the chat. He said, I actually would not be opposed to spending $5 to $20 for upcoming updates. I would love to see a thriving community 3 years from now, still getting updates for variety, planets, cosmetics, and bases. And that brings up another point. We've gotten so used to having No Man's Sky content updates be free. At what point would Sean Murray, and why would it be okay for him to just jump out and say, I want to charge for this particular piece of content? What would that look like, and would that even be acceptable at all? Would we as a community be able to take that and be like, yeah, okay, that seems like a valuable offering?
If the content was large enough and had substance, depending on the price, right? Because they can price it at different price points. I mean, I can speak for myself. I would pay for Beyond. I think the fact that they're adding multiplayer online and VR support, that would substantiate me being able to pay, $20, $30, $40 for the content, for the update. I think it would deserve it, but the content has to be there. It has to be large enough. If they're gonna distribute, something like Abyss, I could see paying, $10, $15 for Abyss. Now that's what Elder Scrolls Online does. When they do when they came out with Morrowind, that was $40. Elsewhere it was 40 some dollars. Those were a little more expensive, but they were beefier updates, right, to the MMO. So I think that No Man's Sky could do that. Don't know that everybody is on the same track as that. I don't know that everybody would be acceptable of that. I think we've grown accustomed so long now to getting free up. That is kind of the point, is where do you draw that line? When do you quit giving free updates and start charging? I don't know that they're ever going to. And I'm going to tell you why. The reason why I don't think they ever will, at least I don't think they have any idea of doing so in the foreseeable future, is because we're already working on other projects. And I think that's the reason why they were looking at selling the game on Xbox, and they were looking at selling No Man's Sky for a VR launch. And there might be, can't confirm, but there might be No Man's Sky on Google Stadia. That could potentially happen, right? Mm-hmm. And that would feed their bank account enough for them to support making The Last Campfire and the new project that they haven't stated, that they haven't given a title for yet. Those will be sold, and they can move forward from those titles.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they ever.
Go for it.
Oh, I'm sorry, LZ, but I don't think they would ever do it. I think every single person that plays the game now would be okay with it. I think everyone that is a fan of No Man's Sky, I would pay. I've bought 4 copies of No Man's Sky. I've bought it for people. I bought it for giveaways. If I bought it, for friends, I'd pay for it again myself. I bought it for PS4 and I gave away my PS4. So I'd be fine paying for it. And most fans,
away, I think, here you go.
yeah. Well, it was to my brother. So, but
fair enough. At
the end of the day, the media and the haters that are asleep now and have gone away would all be rearisen. Because as soon as they see that in a title of a news article that there's paid DLC for No Man's Sky, the dam would break. It would be the release all over again with the haters, because that unfortunately that negativity cut deep on a lot of people, and this game isn't for everybody, and a lot of people found that out. But those people remember, and I just don't think Sean would ever even go near that. It wouldn't be worth it.
And that's a shame too, because I know I've made comments on Cobra Show that the whole community event thing was wonderful. It was great while it lasted, but I don't know that they're going to bring community events back. And I think that's the whole purpose between multiplayer online. Who's to say, but speculation. We could see, group questing, or raids or something like that, depending on how they're handling multiplayer online. But the Quicksilver store, if I go and create a brand new character now, I can't get any items out of that Quicksilver store because that save file can't access those items. I don't have the Quicksilver to purchase them. So
that's a good point.
If they made content like that, and sold it like 99 cents for a pack of trees, $1.50 for some new paint jobs on your start.
I got trees, man. I got trees.
Right. I mean, I would be relatively okay with that, and I would probably support it because by all rights, I mean, we're their fans, and we should show support where we can.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I did see a couple of meaningful comments in the chat. One was that splitting the player base is a big no-no, and that was from Peaceful Gamer, and I tend to agree with that point. But then just a few comments up, somebody had said that they would pay for the VR functionality if No Man's Sky if Hello Games had offered it up. That technically wouldn't be splitting the player base, so to speak. I mean, aside from the differences in folks who are non-VR not being able to wave their arms like idiots, like I would, at other players that did have VR, like, would that have been acceptable for them to charge for that? And barring the sort of negativity line from the snipers from the corners of the internet who probably, as Sean said, had no interest in playing the game forever or even that long, like, would that have, what would be the limit, right? Would there be ways that they could charge for DLC? Because he never sort of ruled it out at launch or shortly after launch, but they haven't bothered charging for anything either. It's kind of hard. Like, I wonder about the day at some point before they sort of hang up their support of the game, doing one more, charging for it as, for one, a business decision, and then two, being able to say, hey, this is we did 4 years of work, if we're speaking hypothetically. We're going to give you something cool that you can give us a little bit of money for. Here's $15. It's $15. It's No Man's Sky Underverse, where you go to this weird place. Yeah, I'm just spinning out random stuff that I've shower thoughts or whatever. But
Underverse confirmed here on LZ.
Yeah. Oh God. No. If that's real, I'm sorry for ruining your lives, everybody. I leaked it a year early. Come back to this video and call me the prophet that I am. But no, I mean, would they ever bother? You had said that he would never bother. At what point do you think, after Beyond, for instance, when online is a thing, we still don't know what that is or what the scope of it is, but what if it's significantly popular enough where, I mean, we're talking about, let's say, for example, DayZ was just a mod at one point, and the creator, Rocket, and the small team of modders that had sort of put that together said they would never charge extra for it. A year later, 2 years later, they're charging for a standalone version of the game, which is like $40, and then they just sort of left the game hanging, and it just now left beta, so to speak, right?
Well, now I thought Sony bought. Didn't Sony buy the rights to DayZ?
I think. I think Arma, Bohemia owns the right to it. As far as I know, they're the developers, or at least they own, because DayZ was formed from the Arma engine and the Arma tech. It was a mod that was created off of Arma 2. And now that we have, I mean, so they probably just had an agreement to release it once it was stable enough to do it. And I like to watch some streams here and there. I played a lot of DayZ back in the past before it had a standalone release, but the popularity of DayZ was enough for them to finally say, okay, you know what, we'll make a standalone version and make you buy it again. Would that ever, do we think that would ever shift? And would there ever be a reason, not that I'm, looking to just scratch together a reason for them to charge for the game eventually, at what point would the No Man's Sky community pick up their pitchforks and torches and say, that's not acceptable for you to charge for this?
I think he left himself a cushion when he made the statement that currently we don't have any anticipations of selling any future updates in the foreseeable future. But I think in an interview he made a comment that that's not out of the realm of possibility. And
Mhm.
I think the reason why he stated it that way was because they probably don't have any reservations of selling any of the content that they create. But if something were to happen, something tragic, and they needed the extra income, then they left themselves a buffer to where if they wanted to release content that was purchasable, they could.
Okay.
That-
So
that's
them
just
them not
personal opinion.
outright saying we're not saying we'll never not charge or we'll never charge is sort of their cushion for them eventually one day maybe charging for something.
Well, I don't now I when he was on, oh my goodness, wow, I think he was on that one talk show. I can't remember the gentleman's name because I don't really watch late night TV, but I know he was on on a
We're
talk
talking about
show, and I saw
Colbert.
yes,
Yeah, good old
Colbert.
Steve Colbert.
And if I'm not mistaken, I think he asked about updates to the game and if he was going to ever sell these updates or what was his future plans for No Man's Sky. And I think I don't want to say it's verbatim, but I think the way that he stated it was that for the foreseeable future, we don't have any anticipations of having the players pay for the content that we release.
For the foreseeable
But-
future.
Right, for the foreseeable future. So, and I don't know what that means. That's very cryptic, right? That doesn't mean that they never will, but if something happens and they feel justified or that they need to, then they could, right? And they wouldn't necessarily be lying to their player base. I mean, I don't know how do you see it?
I think that is definitely nebulous speak enough for them to say, well, technically, we said we weren't going to charge for something in the foreseeable future. But then again, like knowing Sean Murray
That was
and
pre-launch, though.
right. But at the same time, I don't think Sean Murray and crew would ever say anything. I mean, remember the launch and remember now, right? They barely talk to us as it is. They could easily come out with something and say, this DLC is going to be $15. Hope you like it. And then
Right.
retired back to their realm or wherever without having to.
But
Their radio silence.
you know,
Yeah.
it's funny though because every time they've come out with an update on their website or even in the trailer, they always make the statement at the very end that it's free
Mhm.
And more will follow.
and
more
more
will follow. Yeah.